Hey, let me ask you a question as we get started this morning. We're going to go through several questions, but one of them is this. Have you ever walked away from an experience and had this thought, that's not what I expected, right? Your expectations were here, but what you experienced was somewhere down here, maybe way down here. This past Monday, I went to lunch with some of the team like we do most every Monday, and I was promised this was a really good place to go eat. And I'm not going to tell you the name of the restaurant because I promise it was good food, and I will be back. But I didn't expect what I experienced that day. So we get there. We asked the waitress, we're like, hey, so what's good? What are you known for? And she told us, and so I ordered a burger. I don't remember what kind of burger, but it was a burger. It was really good, except, so I'm a texture guy. So for instance, like coconut, I can't do coconut. Now, if you want to put it in a blue syrup and put it on top of crushed ice, I'm down. But like real coconut, like I can't do that texture. I just can't do it. I'm a texture guy. So about the third or fourth bite into my hamburger, I take a bite and I realize something's not right. And so I open the burger and I realize that under the meat patty is a piece of paper. And it's about this long and it's about this wide and it's just laying, and I taking a bite of it. So let me tell you something else about me. I am just redneck as they can be. And so I took the paper out, set it aside, and said, I'm sure I've eaten worse, and I ate my burger. It was very good. I will be back. But at that moment, I'm like, that's not what I expected. And when our expectations aren't met, we understand this, whether it's a restaurant, our friend. I used to have a friend that would say, man, it's the greatest place you've ever been. And he would hype it up so high that no matter how good it wasn't good enough. Right? Because my expectations were so high and they just didn't meet my expectations. We do it with restaurants, we do it with vacations, we do it with movies. When you go see a movie, you're walking out of the movie with whoever you went with, and what's your first question? What'd you think? Right? And we start critiquing this movie. We all do this, and when expectations aren't met, especially in a negative way, there's something inside of us that just switches on. It's like a reaction that none of us necessarily ask for. But it happens in all of us. As a matter of fact, research shows that there's brain science behind this, that we are far more likely to speak up when something disappoints us rather than when it delights us. As a matter of fact, I did some research this week, and the numbers are all over the place, but on average, it takes about 7 positive things to equal out 1 negative thing. So when you say something negative to your spouse, you better back it up with about 7 positive things if you ever want to see eye to eye again. That was free. Yesterday was Valentine's Day, and I noticed no black eyes. So, guys, you must have done good. I'm proud of you. But what we do, this critical instinct that is within all of us, right? We didn't ask for it. We just have it. It doesn't stop with products, and it doesn't stop with places. We most often direct it straight towards people. We bring it into our relationships. We bring it into our relationship with our spouse. We have this critical spirit with our spouse. We have a critical spirit with our kids, our parents, our coworkers, our friends. And I see it really prevalent on social media. Strangers that we've never met. Man, we love to critique those kind of people. If you don't believe me, just go back and look at your social media this past week because of the Super Bowl and the 2 halftime shows. Like, I've never seen more critical stuff going out all over the place in all directions. It was terrible. Now, I want to share something else with you that I experienced this week. And it was on social media, and it was a post from a small town in West Texas that I know well. I know some of the families that live there. I know some families that live close to there but go to school there. And so it affected them. And there was an event, and this is what the article said. Okay, you ready? Here's the headline. 13-year-old rolls SUV. Now, I just stopped right there, and I'm like, surely it wasn't an SUV. Okay, it was. 14-year-old ejected and killed. 2 more critically injured. Now, I wonder if you read that, what your first response would be. I know how you respond because we took a survey a while ago, and this is how we would have responded. 56.7% of you said, I would critique it and keep scrolling. You're my people. I'm with the majority on that one. I critique it, and then I keep scrolling. Except, I didn't do that this one time, but that's what I normally do. Compose a response. 14% of you said you would compose a response, and 29% of you said you were going to send it to a friend and ask for their thoughts on it. Oh, how dare you. Just kidding. This is what I read this week. When I read that article, I looked down under it, and I saw things like this. What idiot lets their 13-year-old drive a vehicle? Call CPS. Someone has to be held accountable. Who's going to be responsible? Where were the parents? So tragic, but also so avoidable. And did you know what I didn't read? I did read, but a much smaller percentage of the responses. What about those poor parents? See, here's the deal. I don't know if they let their 13-year-old drive or not. But it doesn't matter whether they made that decision or missed what was happening. They're going to have to live the rest of their life with that. What about the 13-year-old that was driving? A decision they made at 11:08 p.m. on Sunday night last week took their best friend's life. And they too will have to live with that the rest of their lives. I'm not sure where the compassion went, but this is what I know about us before we realize that our criticism isn't really about what is wrong anymore. Our criticism becomes that we want something to be different. Our criticism is the desire for things to change. We want them our way, which raises attention in all of us, or at least it should raise attention in all of us. Is my desire for someone to change, is it helping or is it hurting? Is my desire for someone else to change, is it helping the relationship or is it hurting the relationship? Because think about it. We've all been there. Matter of fact, we've been on both sides of that question. We've wanted someone else to change. We want that all of the time. And yet we've hated it when someone wants us to change. We live on both sides of this. Well, as Mark said, we're continuing in our series, and it's entitled Relationship Games. And we realize games are fun, right? Until someone has to lose, and then they're not so much fun. But when it comes to the specific area of our relationships, a game that requires a loser is a game that nobody wins. Because in our relationships, the win is the relationship. That's what we learned in week 1. Last week, we talked about the blame game, and today we're going to talk about a game that all of us play, whether we realize it or not, and that is the change game. Now, again, we all understand this. We live on both sides of this. We've been on the side where someone wants us to change, right? And then we've been on the side where we want someone else to change, like maybe loading the dishwasher. We want to change how. Would you just load it in a way that's efficient? Like we could fit more in there if you would just load it right? We want them to change. We want to change on how people chew. I'm going to tell this story, and I know my mother-in-law is watching. I love you, Linda. But before Shannon and I got married, I was with her parents, and she just made a comment to me. She goes, you chew loud. No one had ever said that to me before. And so, I got all self-conscious. I asked Shannon later, I said, was I chewing with my mouth open? I don't normally do that. And, literally, I went to the bathroom with a bag of chips. And I was watching myself chew in the mirror because I was so self-conscious that I chewed loud. And this is the fact of the matter. I just chew loud. I didn't know how to fix it. But people, we want to change the way people chew. We want to change the way people parent. That would never happen in my house. I love hearing that from people that don't have kids. Just wait. I just laugh. I'm just we want to change the way people vote. We want to change the way people talk. We want to change the way people post on social media. And it normally sounds something like this, maybe not exactly, but they should probably fix that. Or you need to work on that. Or he needs to stop that. Or she should start that. And here's what I know about all of us. We resist with everything in us being changed. But we are experts at seeing what needs to change in other people. Let me just give, I don't mind being the example here. A couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine came up to me, I hadn't seen me in a while, and he said, dude, when are you going to cut your hair? It's too long. You know what my immediate response was? Well, I'm not sure. But when I decide to cut my hair, I'm going to wait at least another month just because you said that. Right? Because we resist. We don't want to change, right? Don't tell me to change. We resist that. But at the same time, we're experts on what other people need to do. Did you know that when I'm not here, if we're traveling as a family or what, my wife doesn't like to go to church with me. She doesn't like to go with me. It has nothing to do with her spirituality. It has everything to do with every Monday morning, a group of us meet. A group of staff, we meet, and we talk about what went well and what didn't go well and what we can change to be better. And so we pick apart the services. We pick apart the parking lot. We look every single week at how we can be better. So I think I'm an expert at all the churches. So when I walk into a church, I'm like, yep, they didn't greet me right. Yeah, and I just start, I have this critical spirit, and I just start nitpicking that what they could have done better, what they should have done, and what they shouldn't have done, all of these things. Why? Because I'm an expert. At least I think I'm an expert at what other people need to do, which brings me back to this question. Is my desire for someone to change, is it helping or is it hurting? Because the real problem behind criticism is that criticism isn't just pointing something out. Like we just said, criticism is a desire. It's our desire. It's my desire. It's your desire. It's a desire for things to change and be done differently. And if we're not careful, that desire turns into a critical spirit. And it's just something we carry around with us, a critical spirit that doesn't just notice flaws, but it's got this weird way of just kind of empowering us, and we rise above the flaws and we rise above the people around us. And somehow, before long, we end up standing on this moral high ground. Like we've built it. We didn't even know we were doing it. But now we're standing up on this moral high ground. And when we're standing up on this moral high ground, we're looking down at people. We're looking down at people created in the image of God. And we're looking down and speaking down to people who God called His masterpiece. And we're looking down at people that Jesus gave His life for. And as Christ followers, sometimes we get convinced that people don't have a problem, but that they are the problem. And if you don't follow Christ, I know there's people in here today that maybe you're just checking us out. You got invited. Maybe you're just curious. Or maybe you've been out of church for a long time because someone spoke down to you or looked down at you or treated you like you were less than. If that's you today, I have two things to say to you. Number one, I am truly sorry that someone treated you that way. They should not have done that. And I, number two, am so excited. I'm thrilled that you're here today. Because whether you follow Christ or not, we're all susceptible to this. Not because we're bad people. It's not because we're bad people. It's because empathy just doesn't come naturally to most of us. But do you know what does come very natural to most, if not all of us? Critical spirit. And so Jesus literally addresses this head on. Jesus was in his ministry. He was out by the Sea of Galilee, and there was a lot of people who had gathered to listen to him. And so in Matthew chapters 5, 6, and 7, it's called the Sermon on the Mount, considered one of the most famous sermons ever given. Jesus is speaking to these people. Now, some of these people are Christ followers. Some of these people were just curious to see what was going on. They heard about Jesus. They were just coming out to see what's going on. Maybe similar to a crowd like that would show up to church at the Creek on a Sunday morning. And he addresses this to these people towards the end of his sermon. He speaks directly to this. In Matthew chapter 7 and verse 1, he says this, "Do not judge." Now, this isn't in context yet. We will get there. But what I want you to understand is this verb judge. What he's not saying is, he's not saying don't think. He's not saying don't discern. Of course, we need discernment in our lives. He's not saying that nothing's right and nothing's wrong. No. In this context, to judge means to look down on someone with moral superiority. It means to criticize without compassion. It means to address an issue while ignoring the human attached to the issue. To judge in this instance is to care more about the issue, or maybe before you care about the issue before you care about the person. It's choosing law over choosing love. It's choosing theology over relationship. It's being right over being redemptive. And Jesus says, don't do this. He finishes out verse 1 like this: "Do not judge, or you too will be judged. And he doubles down in verse 2. He just continues on with that exact same thought and kind of ratchets it up another step. He says, for in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Now, why does this matter to Jesus? Why, if he only has 3.5 years of ministry, why does he bring this up? He brings this up because, number one, it was a problem in those days. It's still a problem today. But he also brings this up because he's not talking about how other people will judge you. He's not saying that if you're critical of your spouse, they're going to be critical of you. He's not saying that if you're critical of your boss, that your boss is going to be critical of you. That's not what he's saying. Jesus is saying the way you judge others becomes the standard by which God judges you. I don't know about you, but that kind of freaks me out. Because I know me and I know the grace that I need. James 2:13 says it this way, judgment without mercy will be shown to anyone who has not been merciful. Folks, this should stop us dead in our tracks on the way we treat people and the way we judge people. Because God is a loving God. But God is also a just God. Which means He's not just going to let it slide. He's not going to forget about it. And he's a God of His word. If we judge harshly, He will judge us harshly. And then, just like Jesus, He gives us a picture that we can't miss. Like, He gives us this extreme hyperbole from one end of the spectrum to the other. In verse 3, Matthew 7:3, He says this, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? Now, a speck of sawdust is something very small. Like, if I had a speck of sawdust in my eye right now, none of you in this room would know it. It's so small, you would have to get so close to figure out that I had something in my eye. You couldn't see it from where you're at. But a plank is massive. It's like a beam. It's used to span a large area and hold something up very heavy. For instance, if you look between the lights, there are I-beams in this room that hold our ceiling up. That's what Jesus is talking about. A speck of sawdust versus something like that. And what He's not saying is that one sin's bigger than the other or worse than the other. What His point is that our focus, my focus and your focus, should be on ourselves first. Because when I focus on your speck and ignore my plank, two things happen. I lose two things. Number one, I lose clarity. I can't see to help you. And I want to be helpful. I lose clarity, but more important, I lose credibility with you. And losing credibility, that's much too high a price for us to pay in our relationships. And Jesus goes on in verse 5. He's pretty clear. He says, first, it matters the order. First, take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. He's not saying that correction's wrong. He's not saying that accountability is wrong. As a matter of fact, we're going to get to that here in a minute. But what he is saying is that order matters. The order in which we do things matter, because the mirror always comes before the magnifier. Now, let me explain. This is how most of us walk through life, with something like this. If I look straight at you, you can see my eye real big. This is a magnifying glass. This is what we do. We pick this up first, and we hold tight to it, and we walk through life like this. And with this, I can see your problems. I magnify where you messed up. I magnify what you're doing, and I ignore what I'm doing. This is what we do. This is our natural bent, is to pick the magnifier up first. But what Jesus says is to pick this up first. He said, no. You need to look at yourself first. The magnifier, it gives us power. Makes us feel superior. Not the mirror. The mirror wipes all of that away. And you know the only thing I see when I look in the mirror? Me. I just see me. I can't see you. I can't see your problems. I can't see your faults. I can't see anything going wrong. All I can see is me. And Jesus says that we need to pick the mirror up first. It comes first. The mirror's for self-examination. It's the only thing I see when I look at it is self. It's to look within me. The magnifier is for help, but it always comes second. And when we reverse them, we don't help. And that's what we want to do. We want to help. We don't want to hurt. And when we pick the magnifier up first, we hurt. Now, Let me tell you the reasons I believe we pick this up first. We pick this up and we hold on to it. We hold tight to it. Number one, it gives us an elevated view of ourselves. You remember when we build that moral high ground, when we have the critical spirit, we're looking down. Have you ever seen like Sherlock Holmes do this? No, he's always like this. He's always looking for what's wrong. He's always looking in your life for what's wrong so he can magnify it. Not he, but you know what I mean. We. This is what we do. It gives us some type of view of ourselves that's elevated. And we like to be elevated. We like to be more important. We like to be above. That's why we grab the magnifier. The second reason we grab the magnifier is I believe we have a secret sin. We're trying to hide something. You see, when I pick up the magnifier, I can't see myself. All I can see is you, and I can see a magnified picture of you. I can't see me. It's the best way to hide what's going on in my life. Now, not all the time, but many times a harsh or a judgmental spirit comes straight out of the fact that I have something to hide. Normally something wrong, a sin in my life. And of course, again, when we're pointing at someone else, it takes all the attention away from us. And then the last reason we pick up a magnifier, I believe, we just completely misunderstand God's heart. Because God didn't send Jesus, and Jesus didn't come to get people. Like it's not a game of whack-a-mole, and when we mess up, he whacks us on the head. That's not what Jesus did. He came to give his life for people. And if we're supposed to be like Christ, we're supposed to be Christ-like, and he tells us to pick up the mirror, what does that look like? What does it mean to practically pick up the mirror in our own lives? I got 3 ways I want to show you this morning. Number 1, honest self-examination. Be honest with yourself. Like what plank am I ignoring? What in my life needs changing? What am I ignoring? If I need to change something, just show it to me. The best way to do it is ask God, search my heart, oh God. Know my heart. Honest self-examination. That's what it's looks like to pick up the mirror in a practical way. Number 2, time in Scripture. When we spend time reading about the life of Jesus and comparing our lives to his, now obviously we're not God. I understand all of those things, but it becomes our clearest mirror of how we should live our lives, how he treated people, how he didn't treat people. Should become a mirror so we can adjust our lives accordingly. Spend time in Scripture, and we get to see the life of Jesus, and it's our clearest mirror. And then number 3, invite accountability. I told you we'd get to accountability. Invite that into your life. Ask someone, what is it like to be on the other side of me? Like ask the people around you. Ask the people closest to you. Ask your spouse, how am I doing as a husband? How am I doing as a wife? Ask your kids. Oh my goodness, if you want something honest, ask your kids. They will be honest with you. And some of it will be funny, and some of it, will not be. Ask your kids. Ask your coworkers. Ask your boss. Ask your friends. Ask your parents. And then, for crying out loud, when you ask them, don't respond. It's not about justification of why you do something, why you don't do something. Listen. Listen to what they have to say. It's okay for clarification questions. It's okay, I don't understand what you're saying here. Can you help me say it? Use different words. That's what I like to say. Use different words to explain this. It's okay to understand. But then take what they said, take it away and pray about it and figure out what needs to change. And if there needs to be some explanation, that can come later. But when you're asking them for accountability, just sit there and take it. Listen to what they have to say. I used to be fairly good at this. I don't do it as much as I used to. When my kids were in the house, I would ask them every once in a while, hey, how's Dad doing? What's one thing that I do that drives you nuts? And they're like, well, you make me, whatever. Mind. No, that's not what it is. But when Caleb was 13, Caleb's my oldest son. He's here today. I won't point out where he is. He's right over there in the back. But when he was 13, he wrote me a letter for Father's Day. And I loved this letter so much, I took pictures of it and I posted it on social media, and every year, not every year, but when it pops up and I see it, then I'll reshare it. It meant the world to me. And most of it was thanks for teaching me this, thanks for saying this, thanks for, this kind of stuff. And so once he was grown and out of the house, I asked him, I sent him that letter, and I said, would you read over this and tell me what you would add or what you would take away? And he did. And some of the things he added were really good. But one of the things he said when he was 13 is, thank you for praying with me every night. And as a grown man out of the house, he said, Dad, the older I got, you quit praying with me. Man, if I could go back. If I could ask for accountability from him or maybe my wife when he was 14 or 15 or 16, maybe I would have realized that I had stopped doing something that I should never stop doing. Invite accountability into your life because the payoff is so worth it. If we will look in the mirror, if we will pick it up first, the more time we spend in the mirror, the more grace I have to give you, to deal with others around me, the more honest I am with myself, the more helpful I can be with you. And I believe all of us want to be helpful because we can't help someone change until we've dealt with what needs to change in our own lives. It's just the way it works. The mirror always, always, always comes before the magnifier. So the question is this. Is my desire for someone to change, is it helping or is it hurting? Well, it depends on which order we do this, whether we pick this up first or this up first. Because the mirror always has to come before the magnifier. This is so important in our relationships. It's so important because the gospel is incredibly clear on something. It's unmistakable that we all of us, we fall short. We're all broken. We all have failures. We all have flaws. And Jesus, He was God. He had every single right to pick this magnifier up. He had every single right to magnify our sin. He had every single right to magnify our flaws and our failures, but Jesus didn't pick up a magnifier. Jesus picked up a cross. And He carried it to a place called Golgotha. And He hung on that cross. He suffered on that cross, and He died on that cross. Because Jesus didn't come to magnify our sins. He came to pay for them. And when we realize that, when we get to the foot of the cross, we realize something. At the foot of the cross, the ground is level. There's no moral high ground. We don't get to look at people any other way than the way God looks at them. With grace and with mercy in our heart. I'm so grateful that He didn't condemn, that He came to rescue. And when we realize we're at the foot of the cross and we realize that the playing field is level, it becomes painfully aware. We become painfully aware of the grace that we need. And we become eternally grateful for the grace that we've received. And that's what teaches us to pick up the mirror first. That's what teaches us to live like Christ. Because the more aware I am of what God is still working on in me, the less judgmental I will be of what God is still working on in you. The mirror has to come before the magnifier. When we do this, folks, we become the kind of people that can change the world. We become the kind of church that Collin County desperately needs. We become the kind of church where anyone can belong before they believe. That's what we become, and that's what we get to do. So the question is pretty simple. Which one do you normally pick up first? The mirror or the magnifier? And my challenge is to pick up the mirror first. And so I'm going to go back to some application things that we've already talked about, but I just want to nail them down for you because I want you to have something to take away. I want you to do something today. I want you in the morning to have something to do. The first is self-examination. What do I need to change? I have followed Christ for 41 years. Now, granted, not always followed Him well, but I have followed Him for 41 years. And He has never not answered this prayer. God, what do I need to change? God, what relationship do I need to fix? God, what am I trying to hide in my life? What am I ignoring that needs changing in my life? Every single time He answers that question, have some honest self-examination and ask God to help. Write it down and then do something about it. Number 2, get in the Scriptures. Read the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. If you don't know where to start, pick John. It's the easiest one to read, in my opinion. So just read through the book of John. It's in your New Testament right at the beginning. Read through it and allow it to be a mirror to your life. What does Jesus do? What does He not do? How does He treat people? How does He not treat people? And then invite accountability into your life. Ask those closest to you how you're doing. Good and bad. It's okay. They can give you some compliments too. We all need that. I believe that everyone here wants to help people. I believe that's one of the reasons you're here. You want to be beneficial to the relationships that you have. You want to be beneficial to the people you encounter every day. We want to be better, and the only way that we can do that is by choosing the mirror before we choose the magnifier. Would you pray with me? God, thank you for your word. Thank you for the example that your Son gave us today. Hey God, we should choose first the mirror through self-examination, through Scripture, through accountability. God, so we can better help those around us. And God, I pray that each person in here would not just have the heart to help others, to be better in their relationships, to stop this change game. But God, that they would physically, emotionally, and spiritually do something to be better. God, that we would take the things that we learned today from your word and we would apply them today, not tomorrow, not the next day, today. Because God, you had every right to magnify our failures. And you chose not to do that. You chose the cross. And God, I pray that every day we would wake up knowing we're at the foot of the cross, knowing that the ground is level, that we're not any better than anyone else, that we're all in need of a Savior. We're all in need of your grace. So God, impress that upon our hearts every day. And may we be the people, may we be the church that you want us to be. In Christ's name I pray.